Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me for this session today. It is going to be a short session where we focus on some tips and ideas, alternatives for some of the postures that cause us a lot of discomfort in our practice, particularly those weight-bearing postures that influence our wrists. So we're going to be looking at planks and alternatives and some chaturangas and downward facing dogs. So those are the three that I find really cause a lot of discomfort and people struggle, especially when you're new to yoga, but also you may be dealing with an injury. And if that is the case, or if you have carpal tunnel issues, please clear with your doctor what is possible before you start with any of the weight-bearing postures. So before we get into all of that, we are going to just do a little bit of breathing to settle down. So you may just rest your hands on your lap, and you can come into a comfortable cross-legged position, lining up the heels or the ankles. And if that is not comfortable for you, please find an alternative that does feel comfortable. You want to rise up out of your sit bones and roll your shoulders back, just growing a little taller into the space above your head, relaxing into your neck and allow your gaze to soften. If it resonates, feel free to close your eyes and just take a few moments to arrive here, allowing all the other commitments to fade away and just be here for yourself for the next little while. So just notice the surface you're seated on, the space around you, and the slow rise and fall of your chest. Effortlessly breathing. See if you can relax into your belly, breathing a little deeper, following the breath from nostrils all the way into body, all the way back out. Just feel yourself releasing tension as you breathe. Now slowly on your next exhale, just lower your chin slightly towards your chest. If eyes were closed, blink them a few times. Just allow eyesight to adjust to the light around you. And then from there, you may lift the chin in a nice big roll with your shoulders. Beautiful. Sitting tall, we'll interlace the fingers. Breathing out, rounding into your back. Just relax into your shoulders. Pull them down from the ears and allow yourself to breathe into that tightness between the shoulder blades. So release your upper back. And now relax into the low back. And if it suits, you can even turn and curl the tailbone under to breathe into the low back. Lovely. We're going to inhale and straighten up, reach up. And on the exhale, let's release the hands. You're going to interlace your hands again, and then we make little fists. So just keep the palms touching. And then we're going to roll in the wrists. So a few rolls in one direction, just warming up those wrists. And then we'll reverse. Good. And then just release. Let's flick your fingers, making little fists again, and just rotate with your wrists. And then reverse it. Okay, we're going to start by extending your arms forward, palms facing the ceiling, shoulders relaxed. Start to fan your fingers in, starting with your pinkies, the ring finger, middle finger, index finger, and thumb. Curl the wrists to your face, bend your elbows. Circle the arms out, hands forward. One more time, palms up, fan in pinky, ring, middle finger, index finger, thumb. Bend your wrists, bend your elbows. Keep your fists on your shoulders, and now we circle the shoulders. Elbows don't need to touch, just 3 nice big circles. And then slowly release it. Reverse. And then we stop. Good. All right, just releasing your hands down. Before we go into any more practices, what is important with weight-bearing work is that we use the bones to support our practice. So you can extend your arm forward. And again, just look, you want to line up the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder when we are doing the work. So just stretching your hands forward, roughly lining up shoulders, wrists, and the elbows. So this is basically your plank position. This is what we want to achieve. The minute we don't have, coming onto all fours now, that vertical stack, you may find that there's more discomfort. So this will give you a very strong base to work with. However, if working on your wrists is not yet comfortable for you, your option would be to start on forearms. So instead of plank with your hands on the floor, we're going to come down onto elbows, holding your upper arms, and just wiggle in so that we can wrap your fingers around the upper arms, making sure elbow and shoulders are stacked. Then keep the elbows where they are, interlace your fingers. And from here, nice firm base. You want to work on shoulder strength here, pulling the collarbones away, and then start to step 1 foot back, 2nd foot back, and push into your heels. Let's lift up from the belly, pull belly button to spine, and making sure that the spine is long, looking at your hands and not towards the floor or too far ahead. Sometimes when you look down, you might find that you lift your butt, or if you look ahead, you might find that those hips sag, pushing those hips back, holding it for just 1 more breath. And then we can come down onto the knees and pull back to child pose. So just wrap your hands around your ankles, letting your forehead come forward and shoulders droop forward. So using this as an alternative, it gives you a way to strengthen your arms so that you may progress later on into full weight-bearing postures. Rolling up slowly, we're going to look at the alternative for downward facing dog. So again, we're going to come down onto the elbows, moving into our dolphin. So again, holding your upper arms, elbows firmly into the floor. You can interlace your fingers then. Same thing as your plank. Pull the collarbones away. Your head's going to hang in the air. You're going to tuck your toes and raise your hips up. So it does give you that beautiful stretch. This time you may ease your heels downwards, or if you want to work stronger, you walk your feet in. Depending on your hamstrings, depending on your shoulders. Keep pressing elbows down into the floor. Make sure the head is comfortable, it's not touching the floor. Feel the strength in your shoulders. Good, and then we're going to come back down into child pose. Knees down, hands next to ankles. Allow yourself to rest. Just remain in your child pose while I talk to you. So it may be when we work with the vinyasa style classes, or you're in a traditional hatha class where there are sun salutations, it might be a little bit difficult to move from a dolphin to plank and back into the sequence of sun salutations, but you will find your rhythm. If that is what resonates with you, I'm happy to work with you to find that alternative for sun salutations as well. Otherwise, if you want to start working on strengthening your wrists, the next sequence will be for you. Right, so let's all then come up. You can come back onto all fours. Now we want to stack your knees underneath your hips. Make sure you can't see your feet between your knees. And now let's see if we can get the hands firmly into the mat. So spreading your fingers as wide as you can. Your middle finger face straight forward. The pinky fingers are pulled away from the other fingers. Your thumbs are pulled away from the other fingers, and your base is strong. Good. Pressing down with the base of your index finger if you can. We're going to work with happy cat and angry cat, or cat and cow. So when you're ready, we're going to lower the belly to the floor, lifting chin and tailbone up. Breathing out around into your back. Let's do 2 more like this. Inhale, opening up, belly lowers. Exhale, round. And 1 more time. And then sitting back down. Once you're done, onto the haunches. Now let's just lift your hands up. If you see a lot of red at the base of your palm, that means that is where most of the pressure is resting, instead of using this entire beautiful space that you have to spread your body weight. So it's very important that we press down with both sides of the hand, the base of your thumb, index finger and pinky, and then the full length of all your fingers. So you want to use this entire beautiful space. What happens if we do rest and collapse to the outside of the hand, so the base of your pinky and the base of your wrist, most of your weight is there, and that causes a lot of pain and discomfort in the wrists. So do practice to stack your shoulders over your wrists, fan your fingers out, press all the fingers firmly into the floor, and then the base of index finger and thumb into the floor. That gives you a beautiful spread weight-bearing posture. So let's step hands a little forward. You're going to slowly shift your shoulders over your wrists again. We're going to work with a plank pose now. Shoulders back and down. Extend your right foot back, tuck your toes, left foot back. Tuck your toes, push into your heels and pull up into your belly. Broaden between your shoulder blades. Remember to press your index finger down into the floor. Beautiful. Coming down and pull back. Now feel free to just rotate. Now if a full plank is a little bit too strong for you, we're going to work with a modification and from there into a modified chaturanga. So we're going to come back onto all fours, making sure we stack shoulders and wrists, shoulders back, right foot goes back, left foot goes back. From here, one knee comes down, hold it, and we lift that knee up. Second knee comes down, and hold it, or lift, or both knees down. You want to maintain the pull in of your belly, your shoulders are back, your elbow creases face forward. So now we're here, elbow creases face forward. We want to go into a modification for our plank pose. So you're going to keep your elbows close to your body and lower yourself down very slowly in a straight line. And release. And from here we're going to just push up to all fours and sit back. So how are those wrists? Let's rotate. You may flick your fingers. Good. And what is also nice to do is just to give a little bit of pressure to the carpal tunnel area. So about 2 fingers below the wrist bone, you bring your index finger and middle finger down, the thumb on the inside. And then you may just play around a little bit and find that trigger point. Once you've found it, you can press down for 2 or 3 breaths. And then we can swap. So feel free to do this in any class. If at any point you need to release your wrists, child pose, or you may just sit back, rotate your wrists, flick your fingers, or do a little bit of acupressure. Just rotate your wrists again. Good. We're going to try a full chaturanga and a full plank. If this is not comfortable for you, please feel free to repeat the modification that we've just done. So we start with shoulders over wrists, legs extended into plank pose, elbow creases forward. That helps to stabilize your shoulders, and then very slowly bending your elbows, lowering yourself down, keep your shoulders back, hold this, and then release. Lifting back to all fours. Good. How did that feel? Okay, so by now let's see, our hands are tired, our wrists are tired. We're going to try a different route. We're going to roll up your mats. So just make a little bit of a roll, not too much of it. What we want to do is we want to elevate your wrists above the mat. Just make sure there's enough of your fingers on the floor in front of your mat. And what you'll now see is that the angle of my wrist is a little bit different. It's not a 90 degree here at the wrist base. So we're taking some of the pressure out of the wrist while we still have our hands on the floor. We're going to stay back a little bit back so that the hands are ahead of the shoulders. We're going to move into our downward facing dog. Once you're ready, shoulders are back. We're going to inhale and raise the hips up. So making sure that your base is strong and stable. Relax your shoulders, ease your heels down to the mat, and just breathe. If anything is not comfortable, feel free to adjust. Making sure that your hands don't slide off this roll that we've created. You may use a towel. You may use a second yoga mat. You may use your own yoga mat. And then we come down onto all fours. Good. And then just release your mat. Good. All right, so that's another option for your downward facing dog. And now, let's say we are balancing on all fours. We're not going to be working with any postures that involve movement. So now, feel free to use your knuckles. We come up onto the knuckles. Once again, we stack wrist, elbow, shoulder. From here, we're going to balance. So shoulders are back. The weight is evenly distributed between both your legs to start. Right foot goes back, making sure that your hips are level. Lifting right foot up. Now make sure right hand is stacked, wrist, elbow, shoulder. And when you're ready, left arm reaches forward. Stretching into left fingers, pushing into the right heel. Holding this. Once again, you're stable, strong, and there's less strain on your wrist. And slowly coming back down. Lower the knee, adjust your weight. Making sure the shoulders are broad, the belly's pulled in, the left arm is directly underneath your shoulder. Left foot lifts. Push the heel away. And once you're ready, right arm forward. So feel free to use this option for your cat and cow as well. And then slowly back. Right, we're going to go into normal downward facing dog. So hands underneath your shoulders. You're going to take your hands 1 hand space ahead of your shoulders. Middle fingers face forward, fingers fan out, shoulders back. Tuck toes, inhale. Lift your hips, push your chest towards your thighs, ease your heels down. Now again, focus on index fingers pressed into the mat, big thumbs pressed into the mat, base of all your fingers pressed into the mat, fingers spread wide. Firm up your arm muscles. If you can, rotate your elbow creases so that they face towards your wrist or your thumbs. Firming up the arms a little more. And make sure the head is comfortable. Great. Let's come back onto all fours. And we're going to step your hands a little wider than your shoulders. And try that again. Tuck the toes. Inhale. We lift our hips up. Take the heels down. So play around with the position of your hands with your shoulders. I know normally, traditionally, we suggest that you keep your hands in line with your shoulders for downward facing dog, but not everybody's shoulders are as comfortable in that position as everyone else's. So play around, see, hands might be wider, that might feel nicer for you. And then we can come back down. Good, and then just rotate. Okay. All right, and then you may just sit down and face forward. Feel free to join me back into a cross-legged position. One more time, just press into your wrists. Breathe a little. And swap sides. And release. Hands back on your thighs, rolling your shoulders back and down. Let's bring your hands into your lap for a moment, lowering your chin, Closing the eyes if it suits. And spend a moment or two to just relax into your breath again. Slowly raising your chin, blinking your eyes, adjusting eyesight to the light, and roll your shoulders back and down. You may release your hands to your thighs. Right, so I hope some of these alternatives that I've shown you will bring you a little bit of comfort in your practice. Feel free to reach out to me, ask questions. Feel free to ask me to help you modify anything from here that didn't feel quite comfortable for you, and reach out if you would like the modified sun salutation working with forearm planks and dolphins instead of planks and downward dogs. And then just to ease your mind, it does become easier as you get stronger and as you become more familiar with these postures. I used to struggle a lot when I started with yoga, and just keep on working, keep on strengthening, and remember to spread your base wide and stack wrist, elbow, shoulder if at all you're working with weight-bearing postures. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.